Hello everyone. It's early on a Saturday morning when I'm doing this particular video. It wasn't what I was planned to do today. I was supposed to be getting the 7:30 bus to South Shields to do a video about a forgotten graveyard, but sadly I slept in, so I needed to be there early because it's next to a busy road. It's still quite early now. It's just gone 8:30 in the morning, so I'm still out and about early, and I had the idea to do a story I've done before and spend a bit of time at one memorial in Bishopwearmouth Cemetery. So it's a really mild morning, and autumn is here. All the leaves are falling. So this story is about Cuthbert Vaux and his family. Okay. Now, when I arrived in Sunderland in 1994, one of the first things that hit you was the smell from the brewery in the town centre drifting across. The brewery's long gone now, sadly, but the Vaux Brewery was a big part of Sunderland life for over 150 years. The pubs it owned, the beers, the people who worked there. I'm not going to go into the history of the Vaux Brewery because you can just go online and you can find out everything on there. But this is Cuthbert Vaux. He founded it. It was 1830s, I think. Now, in 1841, he was living in Cumberland Street, which is that nondescript street in the town centre, well, city centre, just off High Street West. It runs down the side of where Marks and Spencer's used to be. By the early 1850s, he'd moved round the corner to Union Street, which is next to the train station. So he lived in the heart of what was Bishopwearmouth at the time. So in this particular cemetery, there's 4 listed monuments, like headstones. We'll call them monuments. And 3 of them are quite close together. Now, one of them is for one of the children of Cuthbert Vaux and his wife Sarah. We had 2 wives, both called Sarah. Now, if anybody's ever read my story about William Kelman, that is his grand headstone, which sadly has just gone tippled in the last year. Beautiful stone. Look at that beautiful urn at the top. So this is a listed memorial, and it's created by Rosebery, who are a local firm. That one there, that's a bowler memorial, that's listed, and so in those trees is that huge, I think it's Malin Webster one. There are 3 listed ones. So this is in memory of Isabella Duncan, beloved wife of Ralph Thomas Vaux of Bishopwearmouth. She died 1879, aged 38 years, and then there's Cuthbert on there as well. So this is one of Cuthbert's sons who survived to adulthood, and that's Ralph Thomas Vaux, born June 18th, 1836, and he died May the 29th, 1928. What's that? 64 plus 28, 84, 92. And then his wife, must be his wife, Sarah Ann Vaux, died 1949 in her 90th year. I'll just give you a close look at that. Skill to create that. This video is going to be a lot about Bishopwearmouth. As I always say. And then if we look here, here's another one of Cuthbert's children who survived into adulthood, and this is Colonel Edwin Vaux, Colonel the 1st Durham Royal something Artillery Volunteers. He was born 1844, died 25th of June 1908. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So I believe he took a regiment of volunteers out to South Africa for the Anglo-Boer War. That's where you get the Maxim beer from. And then there's another child of Cuthbert Vaux, John Storey Vaux, who died February the 9th, 1880, aged 46 years. His end was peace. So literally, the 3 sons of Thomas Vaux, who survived into adulthood, are all buried, as you can see, pretty much close to each other. Now, I haven't got time to find it, but in that section up there is his surviving daughter. She's buried up there. So there's a bit of background. There's 4 children who survived to adulthood. And just so you know where we are, we're right next to the garden centre on Chester Road, so they're easy to find. To be honest, right, and all the times I've been here, I've never noticed that Colonel Vaux headstone. I don't know how. Just walked past it and never noticed that until I just come here today. This is a lovely little walk down this bit here. This is where a lot of the great and the good have the burial grounds. Shipbuilders and surgeons. And look at the size of that. Sometimes you just don't appreciate it. So that's like, there'll be like a vault system underneath here. This would have cost an absolute fortune. Look at the metalwork on that. That's for the Dobinson family. Somebody I've never heard of. Obviously I've done a few stories, but not everybody. Talking to Bishopwearmouth, look at this. If you're watching Peter, I think these are some of your relations. John and Jane Truitt, and then it's Benjamin John, their son, interred in BPWTH. That's Bishopwearmouth Churchyard. That's a Sunderland Minster. So before this particular cemetery was opened in May 1856, the main place of burial was actually the Gill Cemetery, which we've done a few videos on, and that was part of Bishopwearmouth Parish Church. So at one point they had the churchyard, the Gill Cemetery and the Hine Street Cemetery, pretty much from 1848 to 1856. Most burials for Bishopwearmouth were in there unless you were Jewish or Quaker, or you were buried in one of the outside of Bishopwearmouth because you had roots to that particular place. Some people were buried in Bishopwearmouth Churchyard after 1848 up to 1856 simply because they'd had available space in some of the family vaults. Now, quite close to the Southern Cemetery Chapel. Just seeing I've never noticed that one before either. In loving memory of Cranstoun, what a great surname. Oh, sorry, it's Christian, I should say. It's quite busy today actually. There's some man to turn the camera on because there's people walking the dogs. Now the headstone that I'm after, I've just actually walked past it. I say headstone, the memorials, monument. We'll call it a memorial. And so, right next to the path, so many people would have walked past this over the years. So this is erected in memory of Sarah Ann, the beloved wife of Cuthbert Vaux, who departed this life November the 29th, 1860, aged 46 years. Lord, remember me. And then underneath it is Cuthbert Vaux himself, who died March the 1st, 1878, aged 65 years. Amen, amen. And for his wife, the epitaph is, Lord, remember me. Cuthbert actually died in Thornhill Terrace in town. I can't remember the house number. But I'm going to post the full story of this in the description, which goes into a bit more detail rather than just me waffling on. But there's his second wife. She died July the 7th, 1888, aged 72 years. Just check what's on who's created this memorial. See if it's got a name. It's a grand, sturdy thing, isn't it? Look at that. It doesn't mention. But look at this. Also in memory of 7 children who died in their infancy of Cuthbert and Sarah Ann Vaux. That's his first wife, and they're interred in Bishopwearmouth Churchyard. So sadly, Bishopwearmouth Churchyard, there's very few headstones standing. What had happened over the years, there'd been several reconstructions of the church, so each time it was extended, some of the headstones had to be taken down to extend the church. But the main reason was in the 1930s, I think it was 1930s or 40s, they had wanted to make it into like a garden of remembrance. So basically, to create an open space, they took most of the headstones that were left down and put them into the pavements. So there are some left in the pavements as well. Obviously, they're starting to worn away quite a lot. But there is one for the Vaux family, but it's not these children. I think it's Cuthbert's like parents or uncles or something like that. I've never looked into the history of that one, but it's not these particular people. Now, you've got to remember, Cuthbert was in a privileged position. He would have the best available healthcare, servants, housing, sanitation, midwifery for his wife, and so on. But it didn't stop them having all these tragedies here. So we'll have a look at them. So all these infants are buried in the churchyard. And it just shows you there's 7 infants or 7 individuals alone, just of one particular family, buried in that churchyard. There's tens of thousands of people buried in that churchyard. So let's have a look here. There's Cuthbert, 3rd son of Cuthbert and Sarah and Vaux. Off the top of my head, I think there was 11 or 12 children. I can't remember if I've just seen Cuthbert down there. This one's mentioned here. The story, when you read the story in the description, I'll go into a lot more detail about it. So if you look here, Sarah Elizabeth, she was born May the 6th, 1840, and died July the 11th, 1841. So she just over a year old, about 13, 14 months. And then they're called the next child Sarah, which I think is always a tempting fate, isn't it? Sarah Emma, she was born April the 2nd, 1842, and died September the 19th, 1842. So just only survived a couple of months. 4 months, 5 months. William, born August the 20th, 1843, died September the 1st, 1843. So it's just a couple of weeks old. And then there's Emily. She was born July the 10th, 1846, July 25th, 1846. So again, a couple of weeks. And then here, as you can see there, got that little like symbol there. That's for twins. So there's Margaret Ann and Elizabeth Jane, born July the 1st, 1847, and then sadly, look at that, within the month of July, they died one day apart, the 29th and the 30th. And then finally, we've got Watson Wilson, who was born March the 1st, 1849, and he died October the 7th, 1849. So again, it's 7 months or so. Now obviously at the time, there was lots of childhood infections, disease around, like scarlet fever, measles, diphtheria, whooping cough, consumption, which could be deadly. And obviously if you had servants in the house, then they could pass things on to your children as well. But I've always wondered about this, if there was something more congenital, because if you notice, all of these infants, they fail to thrive. So they're born, they lived a while, and then they died, whereas the other children lived to decent ages. And sometimes if there's a congenital problem, you'll see like a run of infants who die one after the other, and then there's a run of them which survive to adulthood. So it's a possibility, or a case it could just be pure coincidence, a sad coincidence that all these infants tragically died over there. So that's the story of the children of Cuthbert Vaux. As I said, there'll be like a full story in the description for this particular video. Just a couple of things to mention. If you would help grow the channel by giving it a like and clicking on the subscribe, that would be brilliant. Plans for this next particular week. I'm going to take some photos for like some Facebook stuff ready for November, because I'm going to do a few Great War, World War II military related things, bits and pieces. Hopefully I don't sleep in tomorrow, because I would like to get a South Shields to do a video of that forgotten graveyard, and also visit Vaux Cemetery. That would be brilliant if we could get there. And then a week tomorrow I'm off to Barnard Castle, which I haven't been to since the end of July, which is since I lost my car. I've not really been able to pop up there and about, so I've got a couple of videos to do up there. I want to do the Quaker Graveyard up in Cutherston, and also one for anybody who's from Barnard Castle, just about Green Lane, which if you don't know from Barnard Castle, I mean absolutely nothing to anybody. So that's me finished here for today. I am off to do my shopping at Aldi, and then hopefully do a couple of other historical related things this afternoon for me Facebook's type of stuff. So anyway, I'm off. Thanks for watching everyone, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.